Most people assume charity is about generosity. Powerful families understand it's about positioning. Positioning in society. Positioning in politics. Positioning in history. Foundations don't exist to solve problems quickly. They exist to shape problems slowly. Speed creates visibility. Visibility creates scrutiny. Foundations avoid both. They move capital quietly over long periods of time with no urgency. Urgency is for people without control. Another reason foundations matter is permanence. Businesses rise and fall. Individuals age and disappear. Foundations remain. They survive market cycles, leadership changes, and public opinion. They don't depend on quarterly results. They exist outside pressure. That independence makes them powerful. Most people believe charitable money is spent. In reality, much of it is invested. Foundations don't destroy capital. They preserve it. They generate returns while distributing influence. This creates a loop. Capital funds causes. Causes justify capital. And the structure sustains itself. Most people never see this because the language feels harmless. Words like donation, mission, and impact lower resistance. They create trust. Trust reduces questioning. That's why foundations rarely explain their internal mechanics. They don't need to. Their role is accepted, not examined. Another thing foundations provide is distance. Distance between wealth and ownership. Assets are no longer personal. They belong to an institution. Institutions receive different treatment than individuals. They're regulated differently, taxed differently, questioned differently. Distance creates safety. Foundations also offer continuity of influence. Even when a family steps back publicly, their priorities continue quietly. Boards remain. Endowments remain. Grants continue. Influence outlives presence. This is why foundations are often multi-generational. Children are introduced gradually. They learn governance before authority. They learn restraint before power. This training is intentional. Money without context creates chaos. Foundations provide context. They teach how to decide, not just how to spend. Another reason foundations are effective is that they control narrative. They decide which issues receive attention, which initiatives gain credibility, which ideas feel legitimate. Money doesn't need to convince people directly. It just needs to fund the conversation. Once a conversation is funded, it spreads on its own. Foundations understand this deeply. They don't fight opinions. They shape environments. Environments influence outcomes without force. This makes power feel invisible. And invisible power lasts longer. Most people think power comes from visibility. In reality, power survives through discretion. Foundations embody discretion. They don't confront. They redirect. They don't argue. They fund alternatives. This avoids conflict while still shaping direction. Foundations also protect families from emotional decision-making. Rules determine distribution. Committees review requests. Processes slow everything down. This removes impulse. Impulse destroys capital. Foundations neutralize impulse. That's why giving feels controlled, measured, almost cold. But cold systems are stable systems. Warm systems depend on mood. Mood changes. Stability doesn't. Another thing most people never consider is legitimacy. When wealth is placed inside a foundation, it gains moral framing. Criticism softens. Scrutiny weakens. The conversation changes. Wealth becomes responsibility, not excess. This framing matters. It protects reputation. It protects relationships. It protects access. Access to policymakers, to institutions, to influence. Foundations open doors without forcing them. They don't demand power, they normalize it. And normalization is stronger than authority. That's why foundations are rarely controversial even when their impact is massive. They operate slowly enough to feel inevitable. By the time anyone questions outcomes, the structure is already embedded. This is why powerful families don't rely on generosity alone. They rely on systems. Systems that move money, shape perception, and protect continuity all at once. Foundations don't guarantee approval. They guarantee relevance. And relevance is power. Most people donate to feel good. Powerful families donate to stay positioned. Not loudly,